Alright, I am Chronic Mayhem, and today we are talking about the new TMR Joysticks offered by AimControllers, and the process of having them installed on your existing controller. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get all the boring stuff out of the way first. This controller was paid for 100% by me, the original controller and the TMR upgrade. I have no relationship with AimControllers at all, and all of the thoughts and opinions in this video are my own. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the new TMR joysticks now being offered by AimControllers. AimControllers was previously offering Hall effect joysticks as an upgrade on their controllers, but that has now been replaced with the newer technology TMR, which stands for Tunneling Magnetoresistance. We are going to be focusing just on the TMR modules in this video and the process you can expect if you want to have these installed on an AIM controller that you already own. If you're looking for a full review of this controller covering all the different features of it, please check the description below for a link to my complete review of this controller that I made last year. So let's start off by discussing the three different technologies that you will find in controller joystick modules, starting with the oldest technology based on potentiometers. So with potentiometer joysticks, they rely on the change of resistance caused by the movement of the joysticks to relay signals back to the connected device. So basically what this means is you have a resistor in the shape of a curved track within the joystick module and a contact arm that moves per the user input. When the contact arm moves, the resistance changes. So when you push the joystick all the way forward, the contact arm moves all the way forward as well, changing the resistance, which then changes the electrical current in the connected circuit based on Ohm's law. Hall effect joysticks use magnets to precisely measure the difference in electrical voltage and then relay signals to the connected device. This effect occurs when a magnetic field is applied perpendicular to a current carrying conductor, generating a voltage proportional to the magnetic field's strength. So basically, when you are moving the joystick around, you are changing the position of that current carrying conductor within the perpendicular magnetic field, and that is causing a change in voltage, which is being measured and relayed to the controller. TMR, which stands for Tunneling Magnetoresistance. This technology uses quantum tunneling effects within magnetic materials to detect changes in resistance and relay signals to the connected device. So basically, TMR thumbsticks use ferromagnetic materials that change their resistance based on the orientation of a magnetic field. This change in resistance is used to determine the thumbstick's position. So essentially, when you are moving the joystick around, you are changing the orientation of a magnetic field, which is causing a change in resistance within the circuit of the joystick, and that measurement is being used to determine where the joystick position is. So because TMR and Hall effect sticks do not have all the moving parts and friction required for the operation of a potentiometer joystick, they are far less likely to ever develop stick drift over time like you will eventually get in a potentiometer joystick, because instead of relying on that physical contact, they are using magnets.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
One other drawback of a potentiometer joystick is, in order to correct stick drift, you then have to increase the dead zone on your joystick modules. The dead zone is the resting position when you are not pressing the joystick, which should not be registering any inputs. But once you start to develop stick drift, the controller will then start to register inputs even when you are not touching the controller. So to correct that, then you have to increase the dead zone, and when you do that, you are losing potential inputs when you are moving the joystick. That is a problem you essentially do not have on a TMR or Hall effect joystick module. So now the question is, what's better, Hall effect or TMR? So TMR is the newer technology and usually offers more precise and accuracy over a Hall effect joystick. TMR offers greater signal strength that can detect smaller changes in magnetic fields compared to the Hall effect joystick modules. So what that means is smaller movements are more likely to be picked up with the TMR joystick than with a Hall effect. So if you're playing like a competitive FPS game and you're making these super small movements like you're sniping, for example, a TMR joystick would probably be the better option. The other advantage of TMR versus Hall effect is that TMR sensors are much more efficient in detecting magnetic field changes. What that means is they it will also consume far less power than a Hall effect sensor. Because of this, this will translate to the battery in your controller lasting much longer with the TMR joysticks than they would versus a Hall effect joystick. One benefit of the TMR that I have noticed over the Hall effect is with Hall effect sticks, I've noticed that the stick tension is typically lower than with your usual potentiometer joystick. So if you're switching from a stock controller to a Hall effect controller, sometimes you might notice the stick tension is a little less than what you're used to. With the TMR joystick, I have noticed that it is a little bit more closer to that stock potentiometer resistance, and I typically do like more resistance on my joystick modules compared to them being looser like I have had on a lot of Hall effect controllers. And that has always bothered me a little bit about Hall effect joysticks. So I have really liked TMR joysticks because they do feel much more like a standard controller with that higher resistance, and to me are more enjoyable to use. Now let's jump into Gamepad Tester to test these new joystick modules to see how they compare to the old Hall effect modules. Here we are in Gamepad Tester where we can test this controller. First thing we are going to test is the zeros and resting values. After flicking the sticks, we want the values to go back to a perfect value each and every time. And you can see we are getting that with virtually no flickering. 0.00392 is the value you want to see for a DualSense or an Xbox controller for the resting values. So that is perfect. Now we will do the circularity test. We will do the left stick first, and we are going around, and we are getting 2.1 on the left, which is excellent. Now we will do the right stick right here, and we are getting 4.6 on the right, which is still an excellent value. I will put on the screen the values I was getting with my Hall effect modules on this controller for a comparison, but you can see that this is a much better value than we were getting with the Hall effect sticks. Now, I wouldn't really say this test is really for testing the accuracy of your controller. For that, I like to see consistent numbers between tests. So let's do one more test to see if we are getting values that are the same or very close to what we got that time. So we will test again right now as we are going around, and we got 2.4 that time, which is excellent. We are getting a consistent value, and we will go around again on the left stick, and we got 4.6 that time, which again, consistent. That's what you want to look for with this test, is that you're getting consistent values each time. So that is excellent. And as far as this test is concerned, these TMR joystick modules are a clear upgrade over the Hall effect. Now, let's talk about the cost and process of upgrading your existing controller to the TMR modules. So out of pocket to upgrade my existing controller to TMR cost me $88.65. So in that $88.65 were three components. The first component was the cost to send my controller to the AIM headquarters down in Connecticut. That cost me $10.65 to send the controller from where I live. The next cost was the TMR upgrade itself, which is a flat $55 fee. I have no issues with that fee at all. The next and third cost is the cost to ship the controller back to you after it's been repaired, and that is a $23 flat fee as well. More on that fee later. So at the end of the process, to get your controller completely to the AIM facility and back with the new TMR upgraded sticks, it will cost roughly about $90. For me, it cost exactly $88.65 as I mentioned before. Based on where you live, that initial cost to ship them the controller will vary. So the time frame of this whole process was about 1 month. I shipped out my controller to AIM on June 5th, and I received my controller back on July 3rd of 2025 this year. The interesting part of all of this is I shipped my controller to Connecticut to their headquarters. However, when I got the tracking number for my controller when it was being shipped back, it was being shipped from Poland. So that would explain why the shipping cost to ship it back to me was over double what it was for me to ship it out to them. So apparently it seems like I shipped my controller to Connecticut and then they are shipping it to Poland where they're doing the repair or the TMR module replacement, and then they're shipping it back to me in the United States. So ideally, I would prefer if they had a technician here in the United States to be doing these repairs, and I think that would also make the process be a lot faster as well. That has been my one criticism throughout this whole process, was I have no problem with the paying the shipping, as this was not a repair per se, not a warranty repair. This is something that I elected to do, so I have no problem paying all the shipping there and back. It just doesn't make any sense to me to ship the controller from their headquarters over to Poland and then ship it back to me. That kind of just makes no sense, and I wish they had a technician that was doing all this work at their headquarters in Connecticut or just somewhere within the United States. But overall, I am very happy with this controller, and if you are getting a controller through AIM, currently I would heavily suggest springing for the TMR Joysticks. Currently, I think AIM is running a promo code to save you a ton of money. They're usually always running some type of promo code that cuts the price in half dramatically. If they are, I'll put that information in the comments below. But I am very happy with the new TMR modules on this controller, much more than I was with the Hall effect. The Hall effects were fine. I did think they felt a little looser compared to a normal joystick module, and the results in Gamepad Tester were not what I had expected. The results, obviously, for these are much better, and the tension of the joystick module, which I care more about, is much more to my liking and to me much more enjoyable to use. If you found this video interesting at all or helpful, consider hitting like and subscribing to the channel. I'm currently trying to get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I believe as of this moment, I am at 616. So we're getting a little bit closer to that goal every day, and any help with that will be greatly appreciated. I also stream on Twitch. A link to my Twitch channel should be appearing right about right here. If you have any questions about any of the products I have reviewed or just want to stop by and hang out, I am typically streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and usually at least once on the weekends. All of my social medias, including my Discord server, will be linked in the description below, and so will the complete review of this controller, covering all of its features, will also be linked in the description below. I hope everyone watching this video enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Peace.